One of my favorite ways to make a box or a small cabinet is with what I call a locking rabbet joint. Some folks call it a tongue and dado joint. If it's used to make a drawer box, I've also heard it called a drawer joint. Whatever you call it, it's a sturdy joint that self-aligns so it makes assembly easier and it has mechanical strength in one direction. But what if you wish to add a back or bottom panel to the box? You may cut a groove to hold that panel, but the ends of the groove will be visible on the outside of the box. Today, I'll show you how to cut a variant of the locking rabbet joint that solves this problem. I'm not sure if there's an official name for it, but I've heard some people call it the hidden groove joint. I usually cut this on the table saw with a dado set, but because many of our viewers don't have access to dado sets, today I'll show you how to do it with a router table and a 1/4-inch straight bit. The process is just the same on the table saw. I'm also attaching a scrap of wood as an auxiliary fence. You'll see why shortly. First, you'll cut dados in your side pieces. Raise the bit a 1/2 inch above the table. Now, I'm assuming your stock is 3/4 of an inch thick. If it's not, you might have to adapt these settings a bit, but you should get the idea. Set the fence by placing a top or bottom piece against the auxiliary fence panel and moving the fence forward until the cutter is flush with the outer surface of the workpiece. Now you can cut your dado on each end of each side piece, using a push block to keep the workpiece perpendicular to the fence during the cut. Next, reduce the bit's height to a 1/4 inch above the table. At this setting, you may take 2 or more passes to nibble away the material between the dado and the end of the workpiece, creating a rabbet on each end of each side piece. Finally, move the fence forward until the router bit barely skims its surface. The auxiliary fence panel will ensure your good fence isn't damaged by the bit. Cut a rabbet on the end of a top or bottom piece, taking several passes while slowly raising the bit until you have a tongue that fits well in the dado on your box side. When the height is dialed in, you can cut tongues on each end of each top and bottom piece. The last step is to cut your grooves for your back panel. Raise your bit no higher than the thickness of the tongue you just cut. That should be about a 1/4 inch. Use that setting to cut grooves along the back edge of all your workpieces. As you can see, the ends of the groove are not visible in the assembled joint. Not bad for a single router bit and a couple fence settings. See you next time. If you sharpen your tools by hand, do yourself a favor. Try one of Trend's diamond stones. You can start with a card, but before long, you'll want a full bend stone because these things cut fast, they stay perfectly flat, and you can go from stone to strop to wood and be back to work in under a minute. I'll link to my favorites in the notes below this video. Wait, don't go yet. If you're new here, please subscribe and remember to ring the bell. I would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, or better yet, leave us a comment. I always read them. And be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. It's always packed with tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker.